Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Basti. I'm an independent trader with years of experience in all things crypto trading. If you're looking for chart analysis, trading prognosis, and of course, trading news, then you've come to the right place. Let's go. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's nice to see you here today. If you haven't already and you'd like to stay up to date with all the different information that I post on a daily basis, just please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It is free. Just make sure you hit the notification bell so you can always stay up to date with everything that I post. And let's go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at the daily chart from Bitcoin. So what we're doing today is we will look at all the different time frames. We're going to start with the daily chart, and then we'll move our way down to the smaller time frames. We're also going to be looking at what's happened to the RSI. We're also going to be looking at the direction in which the RSI is heading, and also as well as the lowest point where we are at the moment at 20 points. So let's take a look at everything together. So one thing we see here is that the RSI, it's very oversold at the moment, at the lowest point that we've had in a very long time. That happened last time during the Elon Musk crash, where we had a bit of a consolidation phase, and then we have another period of selling, and then we push back up. Another example we find is the one that we had during the Corona crash in 2020, where there was a big sell-off, but also a lot of buyers came in and regulated the market again. There we also had almost 16 points for the RSI. Then farther back, another example we find was in 2019, where we also had a sell-off period followed by a consolidation phase. Then we pumped again higher, and then we sold off again. Another stabilization period that led us to the Corona crash. Then farther back in 2018, we find another example where we had a big sell-off that came after a consolidation period. After the sell-off, we had another small consolidation period and pushed back up again. As you can see, it doesn't happen very often, and since 2020, 2021, we haven't had a moment where the RSI is at such a oversold level. And we can even see it down here, where in the RSI graph we can see a strong downtrend in the market. And unless we don't overcome this downtrend resistance, then we cannot really expect the price to push upward anytime soon. Now let's take a look at this other chart here. Let's take the RSI indicator away, and we've had our low here. We had a low here. Has become a very strong resistance for the price of Bitcoin at the moment. That means we're going to have to go over the 37,333 line. Then after that, we're going to have to go over the $39,600, and then after that, the obligatory $40,000 line. So again, very strong resistance, but also down here we also have a lot of support. Now, these two red lines that I placed here are the points or the levels where I am willing to go in and buy for my hodl portfolio. I've already placed buy orders from when the price reaches these levels. Something that you can feel free to do as well, but of course, I'm not giving you any financial advice. But $31,000 and $33,000 is a good level to buy. Here we can see we have this big support box, which the question is, why is it so big? Well, because we had this accumulation period here that was very strong, and at the moment we are struggling to go over this high that we find here and confirm it as support for the price. That means if during the day today we do manage to go over $35,700 and we close the day that way, that would be a good sign, because that means we've confirmed this high as a support area for us, which technically means we could go back and revisit the $37,333 before we see another correction go lower. My opinion is that we're going to be moving sidewards for a while. Worst case scenario might be that we go all the way down through $30,000 and we'll continue to consolidate for a while. and possibly replay the scenario that we've already had here, where we had a big sell-off, we tested the lower support, then consolidation, tested again, and then break out of our support area. So my advice to you is don't fall into the FOMO panic. Also don't believe in social media people who say, oh, this is it, this is the bottom, now we're just going to go down here, and then after that we're going to pump. Bitcoin will stand or fall with one decision, which will come on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Standard European time. The Fed will make a decision regarding the bond buyers. They want to see if that's something that it's going to move forward, or if they're just going to decide to pump because the economy is so unstable that they're just going to pump even more money at a cheaper price. And their hope is through that stop some of the inflation that until now seems to be climbing rampant. And at the moment, regardless of what you do, if you increase the interest, then the market is going to crash probably. But if they do lower the interest, then and we stay at 0.25%, inflation will still continue to climb. So at the moment, really, it doesn't matter what you do. It seems either way, it's bad for the economy. Also, if we look at the fear and greed index, we can see that it's really, really strong. We've gone down to 11 points. And here we can see that clearly we continue to push down in the graph, which for me, by looking at this, confirms that we're going to be staying at least for another 3 months in this zone of just undecisiveness and uncertainty. We're almost at the end of January, and so I don't think that for February or March we're going to be seeing any moves for the price to go upward. So that's just something for us to keep an eye on. And another thing that's interesting when we look at the news, this article that I found here that talks about how the traditional markets are the ones dictating what happens to the price of Bitcoin. So regardless of what you hear about charts or what you hear about patterns, what you hear about this is what happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, none of that matters. The traditional markets are dictating the price of Bitcoin. That's a very, very important point. And if we continue to look here, NASDAQ as well as the S&P 500 in the last few days just basically dumped a lot of money, had a bunch of sell-offs. The NASDAQ has been losing in average 1 point every day. Last time that we had something like that happen was during the dot-com bubble crash in 2000. And the other instance that we find in the market history was in 2001 during the terrorist attacks of 9/11. So the dot-com crash and then the 9/11 attacks, which after that we had a downward move of 28%. So we just have to keep an eye out for that. We have to be very careful. We also have, of course, what I just mentioned regarding the Feds. Also the pandemic, which seems to be coming to an end. And we can see some of the signs, for example, with Netflix price going 20% towards the bottom. We see the same thing with tech stocks. If the Feds decide for March to raise the interest rates 1/4 of a point, then we should count on more market corrections, which for us, of course, for the price of Bitcoin means that we will also follow suit. Also, another factor to be looking out for is what the numbers will be for this quarter of Microsoft, Apple, and Tesla, for example. If these companies also report big losses in their stocks or in their values, then that also means NASDAQ is going to go down, and that means that Bitcoin is also going to be affected by that. That's why it's a bit ridiculous right now to tell you that, oh, here we're going to be forming a W pattern, or we found our floor here, or, because this happened 3 months ago or however long ago. None of that matters. At the moment is the situation in the economy and what the markets do. And sadly, at the moment, there seems to be some sort of fake gold rush where people are asking on social media what the next pattern or the next move is going to be. what happened last year around this time and so on. And I found this graph here where people are saying, well, we're just going to consolidate a bit longer and then we continue this uptrend move if we follow this pattern. But none of this has a guarantee, because at the end of the day, will the Feds get to decide what's going to happen to the economy? Something else I found on social media was this Wyckoff accumulation pattern. And, I'm going to move it over here. Again, I've seen this already all over social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Everybody's talking about this Wyckoff accumulation pattern. People saying we have this accumulation period with this pump to the top, then here again accumulation, then pump again, and then of course this downtrend, which of course technically it does look very similar. We could indeed be coming into an accumulation period here, as I mentioned before, and then move upwards could happen. But we do have to, again, be very careful, because if this applies to the situation we're at the moment, we don't see the accumulation right now. We don't know if that's going to happen at all. And instead, we should just prepare and be ready for another crash that could happen. If the Fed say, no, we're going to keep our interest as they are, and we're going to work towards bringing the inflation down, I think the best thing that we could do is keep an eye out for what happens to the markets, what happens in the news, to what the Feds keep saying about the situation. Now, having said all that, we're going to be looking at the 1 hour chart. It looks like we are starting to see somewhat of a cool down period, but nothing too big, nothing major. Because if we do manage to come back up to this resistance area here and we fail to retest it, then of course we can sell off again. So basically just keep an eye out for that. And of course we could even see here an ascending triangle, for example, or even possibly an asymmetrical triangle as well. And that could be in a scenario where if we within the next few hours, we can find a decision if we're going to go back and test our resistance line here at the top, or we go back down again to retest. And of course, right now this is the weekend, so I would say just keep your feet still. And the same thing applies to the altcoin market. If we look at the Bitcoin dominance, for example, we can clearly see here that Bitcoin finds itself at just about 42.5% here. And it will probably move sideways for a bit, which means for the altcoin market at the moment, at least, for example, by Luna, we have 9%. So it could be that during this time, of course, the altcoin market will perform just a bit better than Bitcoin does. Something that we can also see here at the moment in the graph, but we're just not over we're not out of the woods yet. So I think that is all for this video. I wanted to take a very close look at what it's happening with Bitcoin. And, like I said, just be careful. Of course, we can look at what's happening now. We can say, okay, there's going to be some accumulation here and then have a pump. But I said, let's wait and see what the Fed announces. We could even see another drop of 16% and just about, right under 30,000 US dollar price. Other than that, I don't really see a big pump or a big move towards the top. The only way that I see something like that happening, if the Fed says stop, okay, we're not gonna raise the interest rates. We're gonna leave it as it is, and we're gonna pump fresh money into the market. Then maybe we can see some money coming in. But otherwise, also we look at the volume, for example, we don't see any volume coming into the market. Nobody really wants to buy. Nobody really wants to sell. People are very uncertain. People are in fear and they don't want to make any moves in the market at the moment. So that's just my warning to you guys. Keep an eye out for that. Today or tonight, we're going to have another live stream in German, and it will be at 8:00 p.m. So let's go up to 1,000 likes here at the bottom so that we can have that live stream. And thank you again for the 20,000 subscribers. You guys are truly the best community one can wish for. So that's all for me. I'm Basti. Bye-bye.